welcome everyone to this Challenge Cup race. Tonight we have Jixson versus Digidude. They go by Jix and Digi. In the last race, this is race 2 of their series. The last race, Jix won, and so Digi has made a change. Before we talk about that, I want to also introduce my co-commentator. I have Raylan Tankier here with me tonight. Raylan, how are you?
I am doing fine. I have had a little bit, or had much rando to do in the last few weeks, but found a little bit free time, so why not even do more rando in the form of commentating?
Why not? Indeed. Yeah, I know you've been busy with your own racing as well, so we appreciate you joining us here tonight. So as I was saying, Jix won the last race, and so Digi decided to make a change to the settings. So this race will be a 6 crystals required, and as we know, there are 7 crystals total. So they will not need to complete one of those crystal dungeons.
Looks like they're off doing both the sanctuary start. Unfortunately, only getting 10 arrows out of it. And quick map check already from Digi. Saw a pendant at Desert and I believe 2 regular crystals at Eastern and Terra. And both of our runners also apparently doing a Houlihan start. It's kind of interesting strategy to get quite a bit money early on, but it's not seen that often in the higher levels of competition, as it takes quite a bit time to do it, and most of the time you will get just barely enough money to not need it at all this early.
Yeah, it's interesting. I often don't see it happen quite so early. We will see it happen occasionally, but much more rare at this point in the race, as you said.
Or the added bonus of Houlihan is it just puts us back to Link's house, so we can just grab the chest. And looks like Jixson is using that farm money to immediately buy a bomb pack at Lake Hylia. I imagine he will just move up and visit the eastern area.
And there you go.
Digidude doing the more traditional route to Uncle. Checking the Uncle item and the first chest here. And maybe deciding on going further in if you get a decent weapon out of it. Which we did not.
If I read that correctly, it looked like Meyer is our green pendant today.
That was what it looked like. So yeah, that flute maybe not necessary to find today.
All right, now it looks like they're both going to be heading toward Cac Village. At least Digidude heading up north to possibly check Lumberjack at this point, and then head into the woods.
No need to do an additional tree pole. The bush crabs just dropping small magic, so not really that useful right now. But maybe if we get a fire rod somewhere in Kakariko, we might farm a bit to have an easier mini-mode on cave. Who knows? What we do know is, though, Lumberjack won't be visited today. That edge hold and just a hard piece is nothing we would want to come back for.
Looks like the Lost Wood's not really giving us much of value. Got 5 rupees and a heart piece.
So that's Hula and room for both players coming into play here already, as you already have the money, or in Jixson's case, already have bought the bombs to do Kakariko without any worries of leaving something behind. I imagine Digidude maybe go and first to buy bombs, I wanted to say, but nope, head straight into blind side out. This will be a little bit of time lost if you do not pick up bombs here, as you might have to come back for the last chest behind that bomb wall later.
And we'll see if that pays off. Chances are fairly high Digi's going to come back for that anyway. But it'll be interesting to see what he's spending a little bit of extra time getting.
And also heading into the well without bombs.
And he would be going back for a heart piece.
So no problem if he would even decide to skip it. And
there's a nice looking flute and some bombs in the well.
lucky for those. And the well, one of the nicest positions where the flute can be. I think the only really better position would be at the bottle vendor. So you could literally just step a few steps to the right and activate it.
Can only dream. Oh, we got a mirror off him though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Those 100 rupees come in a clutch there. So, no weapon at all, but we already have access to Tower of Hera if we want to. And
Although I imagine.
Those are the more interesting seeds, I'd say, where you do not get many weapons early on, and you really have to do with what you get.
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking, I imagine these runners will both be doing South Shore before they decide to go up the mountain, but you never know, it might pay off something big up there. If nothing else, you're going to activate the old man at some point, so it's always good to do.
Dude, Visiting Ticket saying, "Don't worry, buddy, I will come back at some point."
He's gonna get his gloves before he revisits his friend, though. And he will go back for that heart piece as well.
Yeah, you could gamble on that chest having nothing, but this early on taking such a high risk, leaving something behind. Yeah, that's not really something you are eager to do. So don't blame him there. We know it's nothing, but there's no way to know for yourself until you check. And well, it's not the back of blind side out, but there is one more spot where you would want to have a bomb for, because I think those flippers you might want to collect.
And Digi's actually leaving there and heading somewhere else. He's going to South Shore. He's going to skip race game for now.
Yeah, having no bombs, so you could have taken a look at it, and with already having the mirror, you can just check it when you do your trip to Village of Outcasts. So yeah. And more items we get to look at. That was a bottle on the desert ledge.
Plenty of heart pieces and other things that we don't really need. Not very much progression yet. So we're likely going to get something pretty big soon, given that we have flippers on Jix's side and plenty of chests in Mini Moldorm Cave.
And that was the powder at Agina. Getting an early powder is always kinda interesting because you still need the hammer or Dark World Access and Mids to even check it, but early fetch quest items have a higher chance to actually have progression. So seeing the powder this early in a spot that Digidude might not collect that fast has some interesting implications.
And Jix is checking out the back of Escape here.
Putting
And
that front load.
likely, I imagine, looking for a weapon before he goes to Mini Moldorm.
Yeah. Bombs
And
are
he will not find it here.
yeah, bombs are usually enough to do Mini Moldom Cave if you know what you're doing, but I can understand the sentiment. Even knowing that I usually can do it, I'm not really eager to do if I don't have to. So yeah.
And even if you feel comfortable doing it, it can happen where the Moldorms just decide, I'm not going to play nice today.
Yeah, sometimes I just need 3 bombs and all 4 are done. Sometimes I have a 10 bomb pack and there's still one surviving. I think everyone had that at some point.
Yes, I did yesterday, personally.
Digidude doing a little bit of fake flipper in search of bombs, but just getting 10 arrows from Hobo.
While Jix climbing the mountain, he's skipped out on Old Man for the moment. Might be
Yeah.
some discomfort with a dark room there, perhaps.
I mean, without a sword or a boomerang or a
Yes,
cane of
it's
any
scary.
sort, without anything that would help you find your way to the dark, I can understand that.
Yeah, cannot blame him.
Digidude now looking like that's heading up towards the eastern area, but without the bomb, you cannot check the closet. So apparently on the way to eastern. This is kind of interesting, especially after having done the Houlihan already, but never decided to buy any bombs anywhere. So now not finding bombs in any of those checks, I wonder why you would do Houlihan but then not use the money.
Yeah, might be thinking worries about Zora possibly having something. Looks like Jix is giving us our look at bombs in Mini Moldorm. Oh, that
Oh,
one.
that was
Every
not.
time. Every time. Oof. Oh,
Oh,
that is unfortunate.
and that last meme just living up to the name Mini Trodor.
Yes. Did not want to play nice today.
So I
So we
imagine Jixson restocking on bombs.
I imagine so. He might also, depending on how he's feeling after that, might just decide, I'll give Eastern a shot too. At this point, what do I have?
I mean, if you did not visit Zaha yet, maybe, but
Yes.
at this point, it's still 5 items in Minimoron Cave versus 2, maybe possibly 3 items you can grab in Eastern.
That is true, and he has already visited Saha, so I believe you are correct. He will instead do his flipper checks with the flippers that he has.
Yeah, we'll also be able to check the waterfall ferry, which Digidude could not check, having done fake flippers, but no Moon Pearl, so that's 2 more checks, which we don't know what is in there yet. Also, could take a peek at the Zora ledge, and if it's something of value, even walk up there and grab it. While Digid making steady progress through Eastern, but not picking up anything important.
And there is a moon pearl in that waterfall.
Yeah, so good luck fake flippering to that waterfall ferry. You could look at those chests, but you never will get those because you would need that moon pearl that is in there.
That moon pearl is nice, but to use it, we either need a glove upgrade or a hammer to make full access to the Dark World. And currently, nothing's really coming up. So, gotta be thinking Mini Moldorm if you're Jix. Already tried once, might as well try again.
Oh, you could also
Or go here.
Yeah. Go to the uncle and then do a bomb escape if there's nothing there, which we know there isn't. Yeah, but I'd say with 10 bombs in the bomb escape, one of the possible starts, if you do play standard, you would at least imagine people have a general idea of how to do those. Because it might just be required in some seas. So wonder if Jixson is going for it.
Looks like it. While Digi doing the same desert checks that Jix has done prior.
Yeah, with that flute, those checks are accessible much faster than they would be without, so it's easier, or many people like it more to do it with the flute. So Didi will get his powder. And Jixson having a plan. That blue guard being confused and ultimately killed.
It's such a shame he couldn't see over that chest.
So one more green guard and one more blue guard for Jixson to be able to grab all of the items here in the front. Ooh, also a nice
That is
strategy.
clever, yes.
Not the fastest one, but it's sure a safe one. And better doing a safe strat than failing too often at the fast strat and ultimately not being able to do anything.
This was well done.
And looks like Digidude really dislikes the idea of buying bombs.
Might now be on his way to race game, and he'll get those flippers, maybe feel a little silly about doing his fake flippering.
But will he be able to grab his moonpaw? So this is now an ugly situation for Jixson, and yeah,
He managed it.
Sometimes that green guard, if it is too aggressive, will snap one of your pots away, and if it's not dying from it, you're often quite the pickle.
Yeah, looks like front of escape doesn't really pay off for Jix.
So, are we back to Mini Molnum Cave?
Looks that way.
This time with 7 bombs. really nice bombs there, and
There
this
it
time
is. Nice.
getting it done. This is
And
always
there
the
we
moment.
go. got bow, more bombs to restock, and 2 bows, in fact.
I heard you wanted to armors. Here, take a bow, and while you're at it, why not take silvers to make it easier? Digidude trying his best at mini moldoms, but having 1 bomb left. This is probably not.
Not a good situation, yes.
And I believe the mini moldoms wouldn't even drop him bombs just yet. Thing is, though, Eastern or armors, more specifically, are not in logic yet, so there would have to be a lamp or the fire rod somewhere, and as the big key was vanilla, it actually would have to be the lamp for progression to be there right now. So
Chances are, based on what they have left, it's either going to be something with Zora or up on Hera, given that they have access to the mountain without the lamp through the flute.
yeah, and I actually would put my bets on Hera in this situation. At least to have something. And with that bow, you have actually some means of hitting that switches, which you might not always want to spend your valuable bombs on.
I was a little unsure where Digi was going, but he's going toward back of escape.
And grabbing that bomb, I wonder if you might even do a second Houlihan here. Nope. Checking the items first. Makes more sense right now. Getting a bit bullied by the
That
rats.
is unfortunate.
But yeah, having just found those flippers the first time, I actually wouldn't be too surprised if the dude actually would set up a second Houlihan, trying to get even more money that way. And then buy off Zora.
And Jix making fairly quick work of that dark room on his way to that big key.
It looks like Digidude is more interested in checking the back of Saha's closet. Haven't grabbed that 1 bomb from Link's house. He's now able to do it. But won't find anything of importance here either.
It just seems like this seed has been a series of things that we might not want to do, such as doing mini Moldorm Cave with just bombs, maybe uncomfortable with that, and having to go up to Hera without a fire source. Can feel bad to have to double dip that if that's what you have to do.
Also, haven't got the silvers, but having to do the way to the Armor's Knights without any way of lighting up that room. This is not fun. And that Igor already haven't moved is even more hurtful. So
Very easy to get bullied in there.
So I think just walking out of the room. Okay, it does reset it, but okay. has found it. Should we find it up? Should we go back? And
Oh,
Jixson
it takes the
taken
death.
death. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, this room without the fire source is not the easiest.
Yes.
Because you just cannot see where the Popos and the Igor move to if they start moving. So if you do not get it the first time, you have basically no chance. And we get in a dark rod map check here.
Mhm.
Pendant Skull Woods I caught. And
Yeah, it's a red crystal ice palace.
I believe there was some crystal at these down, but couldn't really say if that was the next red one. Yep, it was. So Ice Pendant. No, Skullwood's Pendant, Ice Palace Red Crystal, Thieves Town Red Crystal. Digidude. Doing a bit of mirroring back and forth.
So, what did you say our second red crystal was?
Ice Palace and Thieves Town.
Ah, okay.
And Digidude realizing that hitting those switches is kind of important here in Hera.
Might be bombs required on this.
Well, we know there is a bow or two available, but that would
That is
require
true.
you to clear Mini Moldon Cave with just bombs. And Digidude having only one of those won't be really able to do so. And looks like Jixson is actually farming up Zora money here. Or in the cave on the way to desert.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. You might be thinking Zora. Did you? So I know we've got Desert Palace and Meyer as our pendants. What was our third pendant?
That was
that
Skull
Skull?
Woods.
Okay, thank you.
The upper left
Skull Woods.
dungeon having the red pendant, which I don't know what pendant it actually was. It's not the courage one, which I believe was the green one. But yeah. Now we at least know all of our crystals and pendant dungeon, and this being a 6/6 defeat again in seed. Now the route theory crafting can begin, because depending on the combinations of dungeons or pendant and crystal dungeons, there are several items you might not need to find at any point. So you could you could, for instance, decide to skip out on the Cane of Samaria entirely, because Meyer is one pendant and Turtle Rock is the crystal you could skip. Which incidentally would also mean you wouldn't need to find the ice rod. But you also could just choose to not find the fire rod, with Skullwoods being the pendant and then Turtle Rock again being the crystal you skip.
Yeah, it looks like Zora does not pay off. Looks like just a total scam today as usual. Solid big 20 coming back.
And now Digidude again, farming bombs here on those two bushes on this southern Hyrule.
Having pretty good luck with it, but I'm tempted to ask why not just buy them?
Yeah, especially having a glove and therefore having a way to farm money rather easily. Might just be a matter of not knowing where those shops are, where to buy those 10 bomb packs. muscle memory kicking in because that entrance already was.
Understandable. Good luck so far. There it is.
Yeah.
And he'll get his
Similar.
silvers as well.
Yeah, similar to Jixson. Now getting a very easy trip in here and probably feeling something in the ways of why not on the first time here? It's always when you walk in with 5 bombs and think, okay, I have done this already so many times, just have to do it one more time, it does not work, and then you come back with 10 bombs and only need 3. Looks like Digidude is heading back to Eastern. Wanting to finish off those Armor's Knights.
I was expecting a big key in that Tower of Hera chest there, given that there aren't that many other places we can go to look for progression at this point. Kind of had to be able to access.
Yeah, I think we actually are out of other locations to check, at least over both of our 2 runners. And yeah, this room right here is one where you actually see something you probably not seen often. You just drop down, you get back up, and 2 beetles are still gone, but
convenient.
both pots are back.
Pots return. I did not know that. That is nice.
Yeah, so you can do this room without even any way of weapons. You just have the way to flip the switch once to get here. And getting a small key, that is not helpful, as
yeah, definitely do not want to see that.
It might just unlock the basement where an item could hide, but we would need a fire source to get that item if there is one. So probably just hoping to find something different, like the hammer.
A hammer is a nice thing to find. It lets you finish off Moldorm at the top of the tower.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better weapons to do it. Just 3 hits with the hammer and Moldorm is down, and you dodge all those nasty, nasty rage phases.
That hammer also puts us in Dark World access at this point for Jix.
Well, did you try to get into the Armor's Knights in the dark? Let's see if he's able to do it. First attempt not really going well, so resetting.
Jix finishing up a really nice Moldorm fight there. Got hit once, but managed to stay on the platform. And will pick up his first crystal at 32 minutes. Has been quite a seed.
Yeah, but also picking up that map. So I didn't really catch the first check in Hera.
I believe it was a big 20.
So it was the second item, and the
Correct.
small key is not important at all.
And Jix making a good call here to go straight over to Eseth Mountain, making use of his new hammer.
Yeah. That just conveniently 8 more checks you can just grab before you head into Dark World. So
and it'll be 10 arrows up on that floating island. Nothing too exciting.
I think Jixson would probably be very happy to find a sword here, because having to rely on that hammer hitbox as your only weapon is not really that good of a feeling. That Looks like Digidude not really getting through to our most deciding on taking those silvers to the front of escape instead. Probably a good call that unfortunately won't be rewarded here.
Yeah, definitely a reasonable choice to make given the set of options you have, but we already know there's nothing back here.
So, Jixson now at Paradox Cave. 7 items for the grab, including a bottle with green goo. So we have one more check open to us, which we can reach pretty easily with that flute. Also, that means that bottle on Desert Ledge not really that important anymore. And very nice hammering here for swinging no
Yes.
doms.
You get rewarded with money, a shield, and Cane of Samaria, which will potentially be needed if you have to end up doing Turtle Rock. You don't really want to do that as it's a longer dungeon. You might also need it for GT.
Yeah, the Cane of Samaria lock in 5 checks in the basement of GT on the right side. So that cane might be needed even if we do not need to do Turtle Rock or Misery Mire. And maybe also interesting point of it is an additional weapon which you can fight blind with right now, or
That is true, yes.
before you just had to rely on the hammer alone, which is not the easiest fight.
And just a reminder, as we are talking about this seed, we do want to keep in mind this is a 6/6 crystal count seed, meaning that normally you need all 7 crystals to get into GT. But for this, you do not. You only need 6. So we can skip 1 crystal dungeon. And so it becomes an interesting decision of which crystal dungeon do you decide to skip.
Yeah, also leaves up the question of what actually could be in GT or not, because GT is also open at 6 crystals, so stuff like the hookshot, which usually could not be in GT with the crystal swamp. I'm not really sure if that's holding true here anymore.
It's certainly possible. I've seen it happen. It is not pleasant to find.
So it's always the question here, how long do you want to search for specific items to clear certain dungeons before you take the possibility into account that the one item you look for might just be in GT?
It looks like Digi is going back, probably back to Zora at this point. Going to use that money that he just spent some time farming in the cave.
Jixson starting his adventure in Skullwoods. It being a pendant, it's kind of usual to see players just step into the front and see if they can grab one or even both of the items, because you do not need to find that fire rod to finish it, at least in most of the time.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty reasonable call, and I see it fairly often in races.
Also, having that Cane of Samaria does make a trip to the big key chest in Skullwoods that much easier. You can just put down the block on the switch and move through the door. No need to push around that statue, getting bullied by those Gyptos.
Yeah, because this room without Kane is not fun to do. It's one of my least favorite rooms to do in a standard NMG speedrun.
Yeah, I can see why.
And it looks like Jix not getting much of value out of Skull Woods. So,
Nope.
likely
I
on
think
to... Might be checking out Graveyard Ledge along the way, but likely on to Village of Outcasts.
Greater Ledge an option with that mirror. You could also take a peek at Bumper Cave Ledge to see if you would need to find that cape at some point. Looks like Jixson is doing just that. Nope. No cape required. And looks like Digidude is finally making that call and walking up the mountain, getting to Hera.
Unfortunately, has a decent number of arrows to work with, has plenty of bombs, so we'll hopefully feel comfortable moving through. All right, we will see our Graveyard Ledge check here.
And this is a funny check here because it's so out of the way and that does not really make it attractive, but when you make it, you have those 4 bombs and those 4 hearts you can just grab to refill if you are here. And since you have to wait for the bomb to explode, you have the time to grab any amount of what you want. So it's kind of a nice check when you actually do decide to make it.
Yeah, it is, like you're saying, a nice refill spot. Looks like Jix doing not quite what I had expected, heading over to Hype Cave rather than Village of Outcasts. Possibly looking for a sword, possibly thinking, hey, Pod has plenty of items. Pod I can clear with a hammer and a bow, so why not?
Yeah, certainly one way to think of it, but clearing pot without any fire source is
It is
not as
tough.
easy. But that
And
sort
hey,
of
there's a fire
will
source.
help, and that fire rod will certainly help even more.
That is good Hype Cave.
That is certainly good hype cave, about as good as you will probably see it these days. I mean, the timing is kinda unfortunate for Jixson as he just was in Skullwoods, and I believe he didn't get anything out of it, so both items are fire locked.
I believe you are correct. Yes, it's unfortunate timing, but sometimes that's how it goes. I personally tend to start at Hype Cave when I enter the Dark World, unless I'm stuck with mitts and no hammer. But I can certainly understand starting over at Village of Outcasts. Meanwhile, Digi is getting his hammer. He's going to continue on to the top, take on Moldorm as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that hype cave start into the dark world with hammer and glove. It's just you can grab up to 5 items even if there is probably not being anything in hype cave, and you get a peek at what crystals and pendant you have before you head up to Skullwoods and Thieves Town and can think if you want to dip or maybe skip Skullwoods when you before you even head up there. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, but I have seen just going straight to Skullwoods haven't actually paid out way more. Jixson.
Looked like Digi had a little bit of trouble with Moldorm, got knocked off once, but came back and got his revenge.
And looks like Jixson is heading back to the Village of Outcasts area now. Now having a sword, so you have an easier time in Thieves Town. Probably feeling comfortable to tackling that dungeon. It is full clearable. You have 9 hearts, I believe, and blue mail, a sword, the hammer. Thieves Town is a crystal, even a red one. So yeah, seems like a good time to do it.
I think you certainly go for the crystals you feel comfortable getting at that point. If you're worried about dark rooms and pod, then Thieves Town is definitely your best option right now, given the other items around it.
Yeah, so the fire rat actually puts the pod basement, the rupee basement there into logic, as there are torches on the entrances of that room on both sides, which you can lit up, so that room gets a bit illuminated. So that means that the lamp could even hide out there, so...
I like Digi making use of his brand new Cane of Samaria to defeat those mini Moldorms.
Yeah. Fighting against those with hammer or bombs, not the best way. The Cane of Samaria is actually a pretty nice weapon to fight many Moldoms. Can just place that block and wait for them to run into it. Or even throw that block around. And that is a book.
It's nice pairing in this area, potentially, with having Mirror. Unfortunately, that Jix did not come here before doing his Hype Cave trip. It could have comboed that in, but that's how it goes sometimes.
So if we do not find anything, I wonder if Jixson would actually be tempted to go back to Pen and Skullwoods. Because there being 2 items locked by that fire rod and the ability to now check that pedestal might be a tempting thing to do here. But this being 6/6 crystals, the pedestal might not even be required even if there is something on it that would be useful for a crystal dungeon. So it might not be that good of a play, barring there be the hookshot on pedestal, I'd say. Because one item that you probably do not want to skip at all, if you can't hover, that is that hookshot.
I have hovered, and I still don't want to skip the hookshot.
Yeah. It's one thing to hover that Moldon gap in a training environment or a fun race where stakes are not that high. But doing that in a race scenario under pressure when your opponent might just finish any minute, you do not know how much time you have left. Yeah.
Yeah, it can definitely be a big risk if you are definitely not ready for it. It can be really tough.
But yeah, this 6-6 format of crystals actually does benefit people that can hover, as Swamp Palace might just be the crystal dungeon they can skip and not have to bother finding that hookshot at all then.
Jixson killing every single red enemy in this basement of Thieves Town. I understand.
For how much?
They're bullies.
Yeah, for how much damage they do when you are here on green mailed and maybe only on 6 hearts or so, I can understand that killing them might just be something that makes you feel better. They deserve it. Especially that red one on the way to the maiden cell.
Yeah, I have had him chase me down, or chase me up, rather, up the cells, shooting fireballs all the way.
Yeah, and if you do not have the boots and at least Master Sword or Tempered Sword even to kill him instantly then and there, that can end up nasty.
And we've got Jix fighting blind, got a little bit off script, but doing okay. Managing to keep blind at the top of the room.
One more hit, I believe, and
yes, there it is. Made good use of that fire shield as well.
Yeah, shields are kinda underrated. The Fisher Price shield that only repels those spear attacks, maybe rocks from the Octoroks, may not be that important, but that fire shield has actually some quite nice usage times that you might not initially think of. So finding that one, not that bad.
A little bit of a difference here. Digi checking the magic bat. I don't believe that Jix checked this earlier.
I think Jix actually did check it.
Perhaps I just missed it.
Yeah, and it was pretty early after finding that hammer.
Very well. Perhaps that's why I didn't remember. It was not very exciting.
It looks like Jix is now heading over to Palace of Darkness, which is kind of interesting regarding the route he chose, but he may just want to route in Pyramid first. But with that flute, he could have actually fluted over to 5 and take the port there.
Might just want to optimize his chances of finding a lamp first. If you come up here, it's one extra check. Unfortunately, just a heart piece for him. And he'll keep going north.
Yeah, so combining Pyramid and Catfish. Haven't already done most of the Zora area. This is probably the best way to get Catfish into a routing where he is not completely isolated.
I find it personally very easy to isolate Catfish. It's one of the harder places for me to work into routing around the Dark World.
Yeah, Catfish alongside Ice Rod Cave those two locations are probably the worst to get somewhere smoothly into any of those routings, because they are just so much of the way of anything else. If you did not do the Zora area and you have the mirror flippers, you can at least combine Catfish with the Zora area, but all of those checks are still kinda out of the way. So Catfish is a location where you route it in when it hurts the least instead of when it's actually good.
Yes. It'll be interesting to see. We've got Digi in Skullwoods. He already has the fire rod from having done Hype Cave before this. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to continue to the back.
Yeah, having only fighter sword for Mothula though, that is not a very enticing prospect. Yes, you have the fire rod, and I think the dude has got the bottle with the green goo, so has even a bit more firepower there. But fighter sword or hammer moth, if you are not trained enough, that one is a really, really nerve-wracking fight.
It's very, very scary. I've done it myself and do not like it.
So it is a fight where even on red mail 15 hearts, when I only have fighter swords and fire rod and half magic, I still feel not comfortable doing that fight. That one is just... If the moth decides to just hide out in the spikes, you're basically just wasting your time there.
Well, looks like Digi is heading that way. Meanwhile, we've got Jix on the return to Eastern Palace. Oh, and Digi takes a death, unfortunately.
Yeah, was down to 1 heart, and it's probably the smarter thing to take death inside the dungeon to get a refill, instead of just taking the death on the overworld and then having to walk all the way back here. So Jixson back in Eastern Palace, now with the fire rod, can at least light up this room here so he can see what he's doing.
Makes it significant.
Gets the small key, gets his magic back, and is through.
There it is.
DGD now on the way to the rich chest here. Takes the slightly longer route, but much more safer. Just walking on the bridge up there to get the Cane of Burner.
Yeah, can be a nice safety item, certainly. Might make us think perhaps about Spike Cave.
Yeah, would certainly be an option now. But Spike Cave, also one of those checks that is really, really not easy to find a good time to do it.
Yeah, we will at some point have to return to the mountain for Dark Death Mountain. But depending on where we find other items, it might be a long time, it might be a short time.
Yep, and you would probably want to find the myths before you head up to mountain, because you need them to get to Dark Death Mountain. But those myths can actually be in Spy Cave, which is one of the nastiest positions.
Yes.
Where myths can be, alongside Catfish and King's Tomb.
Alright, Digi taking on the Moth. Getting bullied a little bit. Using that green potion. Switching over to Burna. He was looking at it a minute ago, kind of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Risk here is it gets knocked into the spikes repeatedly.
Also, that burner itself only doing fighter sword damage that would actually need 16 hits on the moth, so it's not that strong of a weapon itself.
Ooh, that is unfortunate.
It is really not an easy fight. Could have tried to make use of the hammer, but hitting Mothula with that hammer is probably one of the hardest things you can, or that you could encounter.
Yeah, if you
I'm
can get
probably more comfortable hitting Vitreous eyes with the hammer than hitting Mothula.
Neither of those sound very nice.
Nope, they aren't.
I think Digi making a reasonable call here. This is a pendant dungeon. You've already died against the boss once. There's plenty of places you can go at this point.
You
Let's
got
just
an
walk
item
away.
out of it. Yeah. There is a full clearable crystal dungeon just next door. Maybe try that one first. Hope to find and better sword. Maybe half magic. Ooh.
There's an ice rod. Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, other than needing the Titan's mitts, that is looking like full set of gear for Turtle Rock play.
we would still need a medallion to open up Church Rock,
Yeah,
which
that is
we
true.
do not know which one we would need, but yeah. That Turtle Rock play may actually be something you should consider here. Because you might not want to wait for the hookshot to clear Swamp Palace instead. Because said hookshot could just be in Turtle Rock. And when you're in there to grab the hookshot, why not finish the dungeon?
Yes. Speaking of Titan's mitts, looks like Jix finds them in that basement.
Yep. Fully in logic. With that fire rod. So this makes me wonder, where will our lamp actually turn up? And everybody's most favorite place to find the lamp, Turtle Rock, is becoming more and more likely. First, Jixson has to navigate through the dark maze here, though. Looking good on the initial stretch, trying to find the way left. There he goes. Just down, more to the left,
There
and
it
should be at
is.
the first chest. So probably did grab it, but couldn't really get any indication of if he got it. Might have been just the big key, which I don't know if it turned up earlier. Or the map.
Yeah, still a little bit hard to tell with those dark rooms with some of those yellow items.
It's a little bit too far to the right. Needs to get down somewhere here. There. To the left. A bit more down. Yeah. And just to
There
wait
it is.
for the fire and second chest. And on to the final stretch. Placing that bomb. Got the big key. but not the map. That's the compass. So if he got all the items, there should just be the map left on Helmasaur King. Digidude on his way through Town, and looks like we actually found the Bombos medallion somewhere in the dark on Jixson's side. Because those medallions also are something that just not turn up in the dark. But it is clearly there in the menu. So I wonder if Jixson actually realized finding that Bombos medallion, because I have seen runners just picking up stuff in the dark rooms, not really bothering to check what they are, and then spending 20 minutes running around the world trying to find a medallion for Touch Rock or Misery Mire to enter, not realizing they already had it.
I've done that with mitts myself, where having picked them up in a dark room in pod, didn't know I had them for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah. Thing about those are the gloves actually are popping up in the dark, I believe, but the mitts are not, which is kind of confusing if you do not know
Yes.
about it. Because I had it in a race kind of recently where both runners found different gloves first, and one of the runners had the glove in the dark maze, the other one the mitts, and the one with the mitts, not realizing they picked those up, actually did a pretty agonizing search for those mitts after it, not realizing they had them all along. So yeah, if you are doing the dark maze, be aware of what you might have picked up.
All right. And with that Helmasaur King fight, using those silver arrows, from what I saw, Jix now has his fourth crystal.
Yeah, making steady progress, only 2 more needed, and with those mitts, we can just go over to Ice Palace. We have the Balmos Medallion, we have the Fire Rod. So, pretty much everything we might want to need for the dungeon, aside from maybe half magic and the better sword. But Jixson deciding to checking out the Mire area first. That is an interesting decision here. But with the Mire sheds, 2 easy items available, get a glimpse at what you would need to enter Mire, which is the Quake Medallion. Also Checkerboard Cave. The other hand, Digidude now on his blind fight. Let's see how that goes. Unfortunately, also missing the script, but that is a master sword for Jixson here.
That is definitely a nice thing to find there.
Yeah, not only is it required to find at least that master sword to fight Ganon, but having it already for Cold Stare is a big improvement over the Fighter Sword. Digidude
Getting a little close there, Digi, but makes it.
gets blind down and picks up crystal number 2. Jixson also taking a trip over to desert, grabbing the second bottle, or actually the third one, off of the ledge. The desert is boots locked as the big key is on the torch. But desert also being a pendant, that is not really that important, at least right now. But we get the small key, so we can check out the right side.
It is potentially very fortunate that it is boots locked, because it means you don't need to spend as much time in here.
But there might also be just that hookshot hiding out on pendant and molars. We don't know yet, as we only get one item out of the right side. And Jixson now back on the mountain, having those mitts, now a sword to navigate through the dark. He can finally rescue that old man and get his third save or starting point an hour and 10 minutes into the seed.
This might make sense if you're considering. You can do Ice Palace. If you know that Turtle Rock is Bombos entry, you might just say, you know what, I'm good, and take your chances and see if Hookshot comes up anywhere. Who knows? Jix might be comfortable hovering. He might decide I'll just try Ice Palace and TR and see if I find that Hookshot.
Digidude's taken the Spire Rod to check out the Dark Cross, which only turns up a hard piece. So, good call there, unfortunately not really paying off. Yes, that one would have been in the logic all along, that Fire Rod. And back to the Dark World, probably heading over to Pyramid. Maybe Catfish or Pod Eastern. Jixson also remembering about the Ether Tablet. Haven't found that book early on, but now having the Master Sword can actually collect an item here. Which is an okay refill of your silver arrows, but probably nothing Jixson is too happy about.
Yeah, nice to get a restock on the way, but chances are you're going to get him somewhere else too.
Playing a bit with the dead rocks.
We got Digi skipping out on Catfish, which is good because we know that didn't come up with anything useful, from what I recall, and heading straight over to Pod.
Yeah. Skipping Catfish is really not that uncommon, as it is an out-of-the-way check. And if there's nothing there, you just save quite a bit of time, and most of the time there's nothing there. Just the times when there is something there and you skip it, it hurts you that much more.
This feels real bad.
Jixson finding his cape, which we know is not really that useful anymore, but not having that cane of the cane of burner Digidude found in back of the woods. That's access to Spy Cave, which he is actually heading over to without check. Okay,
Well, you can't do much in Hookshot Cave given doesn't have boots and doesn't have the hookshot, so this is the way to go.
Yeah, for 1 second I thought he didn't check the TR medallion, but he took the TR portal and seeing it was Ether. And I just conveniently blended that fact out. So, for Turtle Rock, we would actually have to find another medallion. And having that fire rod, that Bombers medallion was absolutely not important. I wanted to say useless, but fighting Cold Stare is actually still easier when you have bombos and can save up a little bit of magic for your fire rod.
Yeah, that is the main benefit there. And I'm curious where Jix is going to head next. I imagine Ice Palace? Or perhaps I am going to be wrong again. I'm making all the wrong calls today.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because Ice Palace right about now would probably be a good option, but you only have Master Sword, so Cold Stare is not the easiest fight. You have 3 bottles you could fill up with blue potions, or maybe just green potions. Yeah, Ice Palace, 3 items in there, but maybe you're not comfortable going there without your hookshot. Even behind something there on the right side that is maybe not accessible. And yeah, heading back to Pendant Skull Woods, even if there are 2 items there, is probably not the most attractive play to make in this situation. But if you're more comfortable with Fighter Sword Northula, hope to find additional safeties before you tackle Ice.
And we will get a check on the pedestal as well.
Jixson playing here very safe, taking not many risks on skipping things. Because the pedestal check, like I earlier said in 6.6, not as important, as you probably are able to skip whatever is on the pedestal if it is something useful. But yeah, only hard container this time. Jixson is now on his way to fight Attila.
With the benefit of the Master Sword versus the Fighter Sword.
Also having 12 hearts and 3 bottles, which I believe contain green goo, red goo, and a bee.
Yeah, that bee can be pretty nice here too.
Sure can, but I think in this situation you would probably focus on a safe fight, getting the north down instead of that funky movement of the moth with the bee is situation.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting, but probably not worth it in the end.
And Moth is taken down to drop the big key, so delayed reward here. You have to check out the big chest if you want the second item. Ooh, nice bomb there from Digidude. Blasting all those beetles into the abyss.
This is very nice indeed.
remembering about the Samaria, making that room easier, and Jixson also taken the slightly slower but more safe route towards that bridge chest here in Skull Woods, getting rewarded with the Cane of Burner. And now walking back for that big chest to see what his final price for defeating Mothula will be.
All right, taking the back way in here, sure.
Yeah, doing the more vanilla way of getting to the big chest, not bothering with any bomb jumps.
Looks like Digi is leaving Pod without having done Dark Maze, perhaps. I'm not sure. I looked away and was focused on Jix.
Yeah, Digidude might want to find that lamp first, which we know might actually be hidden somewhere a bit more nasty. Yeah, but yeah, navigating the dark maze definitely is not easy, and you can make, or for people that are not comfortable with that, you are allowed to have maps of dark rooms open while you race. So having that as an aid to get you through these rooms without the lamp is definitely a valid option.
And meanwhile, we've got Jix taking care of some myths checks, doing the blacksmith's chain here.
Yeah. Again, probably be better to tackle Ice Palace and see if maybe Go mode would actually be in there. But if you're not comfortable with that, sure can do these other checks and hope to find either the hookshot or a bit more safety. Third sword, half magic. Maybe the fourth bottle with blue goo already in it.
It looks like Digi's struggling a bit in Eastern Palace Dark Room on the way to the boss. And took a death back there.
Yeah, I am not sure if he has enough magic to use a fire shot, because I don't think so. Which would actually be a bit painful, because lighting the torch would really help there. So maybe Digidude would be a good advice here to grab a small magic pot somewhere if he can get hold of one.
Yeah, it looks like he's checking as many pots as he can along the way.
We actually didn't manage to find a boomerang to check out stun prices. Could also try to navigate to the top left of this room to grab the small magic in this room up there, and then try to light the torch. But didn't you deciding to catch a ferry?
Yeah, it is reasonable. You just had to make the long walk again. Don't want to have to do it more than that.
While Jixson turning the purple chest and check in Bombos tablet, but both not netting anything important, and looks like it's finally time for Ice Palace.
And looks like Digi is through that dark room, did not need to light the torch. So well done.
So, first chest in Ice Palace, Jixson intending to make use of the Bombos medallion without at least Tempered Sword or the hookshot. Your options to fight the pen gators are not that great, so taking that Bombos medallion there is actually a good way.
Yeah, if you got it, might as well use it.
Yeah.
And
Could also use
Digi finishing off the Armos Knights there, getting his crystal.
You could also make use of the Quake medallion to fight those pen gators, which would be a bit faster if you had it. Thing there is you have to use it before pen gators are jumping, because if they're in their jump animation, they are not going to be hit by the Quake medallion. Looks like Jixson also not deciding to bother with the Ice Palace bomb jump. Just walking through. Has the Cane of Samaria, so does not need to rely on finding both small keys outside of the Vitreous fight, of the Gold Step fight. And making use of bombs against the Pen Gators, your only other option to fight those without hookshot. Because a bomb hit will kill the Pen Gator in one go.
Nice movement from Jix there. They're playing it safe in that ice room with the fire bar, and getting through. Getting a tempered sword. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, that is really nice, especially getting it this close before fighting Cold Stare. This tempered sword does really make a difference in the fight on Cold Stare. So deciding to grab in a few additional hearts that are lying around here in the corners of the room.
It's very nice movement through those ice rooms.
Yeah, movement on the ice without the boots is always hassle, so getting around there, this easily looking really something.
Mm-hmm.
But Jixson now is having a problem. He did not get any small keys so far, so has no way to get to the right side of Ice Palace without the hookshot right now, which he does not have. The only other way he had would be to rely on a bomb jump.
Yeah, I think that the bomb jump from this side is fairly straightforward to set up if you have done it.
Yeah, I was
But if you are not practiced with it, it can be a little tricky to spot.
also I was talking about the bomb jump over on the hookshot.
Yes, okay, I understand.
And that one is, it's not really that hard if you have a decent setup for it, but yeah, knowing about it and executing it is not the easiest.
Yes, certainly takes practice.
Although I'd say the... Oh!
Ouch.
Did you get him picked up there and then...
Master Hand being rude.
But yeah. I mean, that's bomb jump on the... yeah, on the hookshot locked side there is, in my opinion, actually easier than the main Ice Palace bomb jump, because you basically just have to position your you before you place the bomb, and then can just stay there if you have the perfect setup. While on the Ice Palace bomb jump, you have to place the bomb first and then place you in a different pixel under time pressure, which is probably the hardest thing about that bomb jump. And yeah, it looks like Jixson is biting the bullet here and diving into a hookless swamp. Hello, that was the lamp in the first chest of swamp.
Well, now we know where it's been this whole time. We've had access to that for quite a while. Oh, Digi. Fortunately has that fairy from Eastern. Is able to make a comeback.
But there's only 7 additional hearts, and he's still without any magic and only on Fighter Sword. This is
It's
not
definitely
a comfortable
dangerous.
situation. Could maybe try to make use of Fighter Sword spins to do at least Master Sword level damage, but it's down to 1 heart. Ooh.
Oh, man. It's very unfortunate. I think reasonable to walk away, certainly. Same situation as before. You got plenty of other options.
Although in this situation it might be more advisable to just mirror and flute away, as you have both of those. And for Digidude it would actually be a good idea to just take that flute and head over to the Maya area. But then again, are we sure Digidude is aware he picked up those mids?
I'm going to guess that he is aware, given seems like he's heading toward saving our blacksmith friend.
Yeah, I was about to also say that. So at least that's not a problem. But yeah.
We'll get a left side swamp check with Jix in a minute here.
Yeah, we could, or we will have to hope for Digidude that he soon will decide to check over the Maya area and do checkerboard cave to at least get his Master Sword. So I'm trying to think of something we haven't actually seen yet that isn't Swamp Palace, and I'm not able to come up with something. So are we down to the point that we actually have to have something here?
Seems that way to me. I'm trying to think of other spots as well, and I can't really think of anything that's that we have not checked out yet.
We can't get into either Maya or Todd Rock as we are missing those medallions. We don't have boots. We do not have hookshot. And we do not have any of those fetch quests we didn't check yet, so... But it's apparently not swamp. That is the answer. So what are we overlooking here?
Might just mean going to Cold Stare in Ice Palace.
The question about that would be, is that in logic? Because that would mean we have to find the big key and a small key on the left side, and I can't really
Yeah,
remember
that's
if
right.
we did find
Yeah.
the big key.
We did. I believe we found the big key, but we do not have another small key.
Dark Cross was checked from by Digidude earlier, which is just a hard piece. But if we did find the big key in Ice Palace and the big chest actually has a small key,
That could do it.
With the Cane of Samaria found, that could put Cold Stare into logic. Also, you could just use that small key to just mirror out and check the right side, which would actually get you back a small key. So that would still put Cold Stare in logic and subsequently the red bomb. So yeah, this seed starting out not the nicest and continue to not be friendly at all.
Yeah, very stingy at the beginning, kind of little trickles of progression here and there, and just a lot of mystery. Looks like Jix is trying to think about what to do here. Maybe going back to Ice Palace.
Yeah, I mean, we are just sitting here watching Tyrannus and can take all the time we want to think about stuff. But those two have to do all the thinking under pressure, because they do not know, did my opponent already find it? What did I actually miss? Did I skip something that I can't remember of right now? But yeah, like I said, if we have the big key and the big chest is in logic, small key would put Cold Stare in logic, or the big chest could just have our hookshot, for example, or our boots. Maybe an ether.
That would be unkind. Maybe Quake.
I mean, you say that would be unkind. I say that would be a tournament seed.
Yes.
Yeah. And indeed, we have the big key, so the big chest is in logic. Jixson not get into it the first trip through here, deciding to check out other things, but looks like the big chest here, nice, is the answer. So right now Jixson does not have a small key, thus means the Cold Stare right now is not in logic, as we would need an additional small key to even get to Cold Stare. But said small key can just be in the big chest here, which we didn't check.
Looks like we're going for the Ice Palace bomb jump. Gets it. Second try.
Which would save you the need of the key. But still, logic would dictate that the big chest at least would have a key for Cold Stare to be in logic. Or the big chest might just be what we need to do at all. Digidude finally get into his Master Sword, so his next trip to the Moth should be easier if he decides to do it.
It's going to feel hopefully good about that. Makes it easy. And there's a small key in that big chest in Ice Palace.
That puts our cold stare into the logic. Now that still would probably mean that the hookshot could not be on the right side of Ice Palace, but it absolutely could be on the Fat Ferry.
And we'll see our cold stare fight here.
Eight fire rod shots or a use of the bonus medallion to break that shell and then making use of the tempered sword.
Be careful though.
Hagen and Puff. That still hurts. Even on blue mail. But one already down and Jixson remembering about the dread potion.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Digidude stuck up on a bloom potion.
And Jixson is done with that fight. And gets his boots.
Ooh, those are boots. Those open up 3 checks right now. Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, and our second item in Desert, which is Boots Locked. If we remember it. Big key on the torch.
Makes sense. Do these first.
Yeah, you have the mitts. Can just do Kickstroom from the Light World.
And meanwhile, we've got Digi making a trip over to the dark room on the mountain to save the old man. Another possibility with boots is the first item in Hookshot Cave. I don't recall if you mentioned that one. That's something that could be interesting.
Yeah, I actually did not mention that one. Despite that one actually being one of the checks I did for in search of the hookshot in my race earlier today. Yeah, that one's certainly an option. But now we have Bonk Rocks, which did not have anything. So Jixson probably just fluting over to 2 and instantly turn that mushroom he just found.
Yep, there it is. I think that's the right call. You just got it.
Yeah, and while you're checking here, you can just stock up on blue potions if you want to. Just used up your last health refill potion, so getting one back, certainly not a bad idea, even if it's just a hard piece you got for the mushroom. Could release the bee. Getting another. Looks like Digidude is intending to tackle Spike Cave here. Jixson now thinking about it, and yeah, seems to have spotted the hookshot cave play. So will it be another one of those famous hookshot and hookshot cave seeds? Or is there actually something hidden in Pendant Desert behind that big key on the torch? Also, Red Bomb is actually a thing now, which I also forget about already.
I forgot about it as well, so easy thing to overlook.
Yep, that's why we have a tracker with us, who is keeping track of all things that happened and us somewhat able to do commentary. checking done today by Lumaga. So big shoutouts there. Those trackers are always the unsung heroes of every restream, because the commentators are clearly not able to keep track of anything that happens. Oh yeah, Jixson getting to Hookshot Cave. And now bonk on the first one, bonk on the second one, and we have
Oh
either.
no.
Oh. Well, that's
My
crystal
goodness.
number 6. That's
Well, this seed is the seed that just keeps on giving.
I mean, for Jixson, it is crystal number 6. Yep, now the German is slipping into my commentary. Crystal number 6, that is clearable for Jixson, so can head over to GT after clearing with this dungeon. But do you really want to do that? You still are missing that hookshot.
Yeah, if I were in the situation, I would certainly clear everything along the way looking for that hook shot.
Yeah, but at this point, Jixon at least knows no trip to Swamp Palace will be required at all anymore, because that hookshot cannot be in the back. Can also not be on the other 3 chests in Hookshot Cave. But where the hookshot can be is right there.
Well, now it is certainly go mode.
That is absolutely go mode. We have the boots for a big cure on the torch. We have the hookshot to cross the Moldom 2 gap. We can clear all crystals we want. So at this point it would only be, do you feel comfortable fighting Ganon with the equipment you have? And with Tempered Sword and Silvers, I'd say yes, we do.
Yes, that's pretty comfortable for sure, especially having just picked up several safety potions. That feels pretty nice.
And now coming with those nice strats, even doing a cane dash here on the roller room. Missing the second one, which is a little bit hurting. Which is not the nicest thing, knowing that you have to face the chain jump room next.
Yeah, those chain chomps hit like trucks.
Oh yeah, they do, certainly.
Meanwhile, we've got Digi entering Ice Palace. Will be interesting to see what they do here, if they just decide to go straight to the boss, or we even come back like Jix decided to do. Oh, Jix having some trouble over there.
Yeah, getting taken a bite out of him. But just using a blue potion, now getting done, gets the big key. Moving on. So having that powder, you actually could just instantly refill the used up potion with a parry. You just powder in the next room and put that button to use. Looks like Jixson is not even interested in doing such things. Still has one more blue potion, has an additional green potion.
Good dodging of the anti-fairies there as well.
Stealing the key. Does not need to do the lava chest here. Wonder if he will just head over. Yeah, looks like he will take the loop out through the big chest. It would be slightly faster to just skip the big chest altogether and head straight right and to the roller room.
Yeah, there is a chance that you miss a small key in the big chest, but I find more often than not you're okay.
Yeah, it's about 3% chance. I've heard somewhere at some point that this play would come back to bite you, because there is a scenario where there's a small key in the lava chest and then the second small key in the big chest, which would result in you not finding an additional small key on the way to the laser bridge and on laser bridge itself, which would leave you to backtrack to get
Yeah, that always feels
the big
bad.
chest.
Do you want to point out, did that Ice Palace bomb jump? Struggle with it a little bit, but ended up getting it. I think only needed about 4 tries to get it, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, and if you're not too comfortable with getting it first try, you can just buy a bomb upgrade for 100 rupees before you tackle Ice Palace, as Digidude did do. So you will have at least 15 bombs, as a bomb refill will also, or a bomb upgrade will also refill all of your bombs. Jixson, meanwhile.
Yeah, refilling that magic, I think a good choice.
Making use of the cape a little bit too much on Laser Bridge, but ultimately does find that small key, which was unfortunately in the last chest here on Laser Bridge. Yeah, not having enough magic to use that powder in that situation, so burn into his second blue potion.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for refilling with Fairy. I think it's a good call if you're at that point. Oh no,
Yeah,
unless you pick up the Fairy.
Yeah, that Fairy not wanting to be captured. Oh, Jixson
nice
again with a very nice K dash.
Yes.
Aside from the wizard room, this is probably one of my most favorite techs in Rando here, because it just feels so good doing that dash.
Did you just did a bomb jump in that fire bar room in Ice Palace? I hadn't seen that one before personally, but I like it.
The tempered sword. Phase 1 of Trinex, not a problem for Jixson. Already taken out, setting up for the double spin on the second phase, gets it, and
there it is.
Very fast last hit, so crystal number 6 for Jixson, and can now head over straight to Ganon's tower.
Wow, we've got Digi trying to do the bomb jump over on a hookshot locked side of Ice Palace, burning a potion.
And it's not a setup I use, so I can't say too much about it.
Quite.
But
Alright, I do see some numbers in chat. If you want to take a guess at where the Ganon's Tower big key is, now is your chance.
it kind of slipped my mind, because that's something we usually would call at the 7th crystal.
Yes, easy to forget. I needed to see a number in chat to remember.
And there is the big key guessing game that we can certainly play, as Jixson heads now into Ganon's Tower to find that big key, which can be in one of 22 locations down here.
Meanwhile, did you really struggling with this bomb jump? Kind of taking a pause here for a moment.
Maybe looking for a setup to see how that bomb jump is done, which is, again, something you can do while racing. pull up a map of or an image of how to line up a bomb jump.
Looks like deciding to leave that side behind, though, and move on. Going back in.
Which we know is absolutely the right call.
Yes.
Jixson, meanwhile, doing a right side first play. Did room. Ooh. Nice bounce up the block there. So on check number 3 now in compass room. Number 4. Huh. Set compass in the room.
So we're at 6 checks currently.
Taking the small key and take out the mirror and up onto the left side. Check number 7 is our torch. Containing a key, but just a small one.
I do want to make a point of saying before we get too far into GT, I do want to shout out these 2 runners for participating tonight. If you have not followed them already, please give them a follow. They will appreciate it. Also, be sure to check out the Go Mode podcast. Hey, there's that big key, top right of that room. At the Go Mode podcast, great source for rando information, is who is sponsoring this restream tonight.
Yep, and that was a clean 9 on that big key, so the win tonight on that guessing game goes to, and I cannot pronounce that name properly, but I will try. Carrigal?
Yeah, I was gonna say Carrigal, something like that. Hopefully they confirm or deny. And silver arrows in those mimic rooms are very nice to have.
Yeah, and not only in that mimic room, also for some of the later rooms in the gauntlet or for Lanmo too. Jixson taking a dive into the abyss here to then be able to just dash across the room using those iframes. Looks like intending to stock up on fairies, which didn't want to work the first time, but now catching 2 of those, grabbing the bomb, grabbing the full magic refill, and on to the gauntlet. Digidude.
Getting bullied here a bit. Be careful. And he's through. Likely going to pull out that powder right away.
Certainly a good idea here. You can also just complete this room with the Cane of Samaria, as it is actually intended by the logic in the seed here for you to do. Oh, slightly missing that 1 cycle on level 2 here for Jixson, but just setting up for that second one. As Digidude is tackling on Cold Stare, taking out the blue potion to have it ready when needed.
Yeah, you always hope you don't need it, but nice to have it.
First puff is down. Second is down. And not even
that's
needed a
3.
potion. We'll be getting his boost here.
Do want to shout out Chicks for general execution going through the tower. It's been fairly clean. A couple of little things here and there, but generally really solid.
Yeah. After this, see, that really was more of a test of your knowledge to work around things when you do not have your usual equipment. Finally, now the gauntlet was maybe more to how you would be used to do it. So now this execution actually can come into effect. Very nice. Mold on 2 here, slash and a spin. Fake in that swag cover. Yeah, on to Aga 2 as Digidude decides on reaping the rewards of Ice Palace even further and turn in the Red Bomb, which we know will not have anything too important. But this would also allow Digidude to maybe return to Palace of Darkness right here. There's more options. And Jixson apparently getting a bit bullied by Agatu here.
Yeah, chipping away at him slowly but surely. But yeah, definitely getting beat up a little bit. There it is.
And Jixson now on to the final boss fight of this game. Has to do 12 slashes for the first phase, 12 for the second phase, 4 more for the third, and then finally 4 silver arrows. Stunned Ganon. Didn't manage to keep count, but this looks like Jixson is heading into phase 2 and really gets a good position here. 1, 2, yeah, that should be done, but has to be careful. Down to 1.5 hearts. Gets sniped, but should have still 2 fairies, so 1 down. Yeah, that is phase number 3 already. Gets a spinning fire bat off, unfortunately. But now the second one without the fire bat. Four hits in. So 4 more silver arrows, as we did find them very early on. Not getting the torch glitch, but does not really matter with silvers.
Yeah.
Getting into a
Yeah,
nice
when you're at
position.
this point, it's
Be a
totally
double.
okay. It's that torch glitch.
And last
And
one,
yeah,
and
that's
done.
just needs to walk across, and that's it.
And after crossing this final bridge that has claimed some victims over
And
its career, but
GG to
not
Jixson.
finishing in first place with an official time of 2 hours, 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
All right. And it looks like we are joined by Jix and joined by Digi as well. GG to both.
Jeez.
GG, thanks guys.
So this seed was interesting. It was very stingy at the beginning, and you both had some kind of interesting experiences at a mini Moldorm cave. What was the beginning of the seed like for you, kind of thinking about that?
These are weapons. Like, oh. I don't know about you, Jix, but it took about, 25, 30 minutes for me just to find a decent weapon to do anything with.
Yeah, that's about right. And it was the hammer that you had to go into with no weapon into Hera, or fire source.
Yeah, this seed really tested you on the beginning. You had to do a mini Moldom cave with bombs. If you wanted your silver arrows, or your silvers, as you got the bow and the silvers in it. But yeah, that alongside that bombs was the only available weapons for you to get up to Hera and get to the big chest. So I think, Jixson, you were the one actually making use of those pots in the beetle room on the first upper floor of Hera.
Oh yeah,
So-
absolutely. So I was like, I don't have enough bombs. I don't have enough arrows at this point because I had, tried to get to the back of Eastern and managed to get killed by the Igor in there.
Same thing happened here.
Yeah, wanted to commend you on remembering that, because that is not something it's something not everyone is aware of, that you can actually kill two, drop down to respawn those pots and use another one. Good thinking there. But yeah, it's then continued on with the seed giving out small bits and pieces, but not really too much for you to work with.
And I do want to clarify for folks watching this, this stream was a 15-minute delay, so the racers finished, Jix finished about 15 minutes ago now, and they've been hanging out and chatting together, and we can see on the stream now, Digi did decide to forfeit at this point, which is, I can understand the decision at that point. This was a challenging seed for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was a challenging seed. Like, I, did through pod without the lamp, and then finding the lamp so easily in swamp was like, what the hell is happening, basically. And I had been trying to avoid Turtle Rock the entire time, hoping it would be the the crystal you could avoid. Nope.
Yeah, 6/6 seeds are kind of strange in how you want to approach them and how they should actually be approached, because while you might want to skip Turtle Rock, sometimes Turtle Rock has just your progression item to finish the other dungeons. So yeah, we were at point not too long ago, we were wondering, okay, what is actually our next progression? Because we were coming down to Cold Stare being the last location for both of you, essentially, to have progression. But then only turning up the boots, so yeah. How was that? How did you feel getting up to this point? How was that for you, Jigs?
It was it was odd. Like obviously you check the boots locations right in your sanctuary because it's the quickest, and you hope that you find something. And it was just the mushroom that gave you nothing. I still was trying to figure out honestly if it was supposed to be hookshot blocked in the dungeon. And I don't.
Yeah, we had quite a discussion here about if that was in logic or not. It was given that there was a small key in the big chest. So it did work out logically that those boots were not hookshot locked. We also had been talking. Sorry, Raylan, go ahead.
Yeah, so clarify on that. If you get the big key and a small key on the left side of Ice Palace, then the boss itself is not hookshot locked. If you also have the Cane of Somaria. So that boots actually were quite fine in being in logic.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
No, that's good to know because Ice is one dungeon I don't understand the logic on still.
Yeah, I am I personally I'm still alive in the main tournament, and I still have not fully grasped every iteration of Ice Palace key logic, so it is certainly not the easiest one, and yeah. But what I could say about it, like I said, boss was not hookshot locked here, and also the hookshot could not have been on the right side in Ice Palace itself, because with the big key found, you could have spent all your small keys in a way that you would have had to have the hookshot to get to the right side. So that was the two things I could infer from the key logic here in Ice.
And it was, it became finally linear at the end when you got the boot and go up to Death Mountain to go get your Ether Medallion to get your hook shot in the first chest.
Yeah, that one was kind of cute, because I was at that point I was about to get a bit around to where that hook shot now could be, because there were so many chests open now, but then you just pick it up there and kind of stopped me before I could even get going.
I fully expected it in GT. In all honesty, it was like I can beat 6 of 7 crystals and go in GT. It can be in there.
Was it first chest hookshot cave?
Yes, Ether was the first chest in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah. First chest in Hookshot Cave for Ether to enter Turtle Rock to get the hookshot in the first chest of Turtle Rock.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Logic at its finest.
Right.
Yeah, also that lamp that you never found, Digi, that was
It's going all over the place then.
like a true tournament seed. But yeah, I think that actually means now for you, Digi, you are eliminated here out of the Challenge Cup, if I read the challenge correctly. So fortunately, no more tournament races here for you. But how did you enjoy the Challenge Cup? What was it for you to play in a tournament setting here?
Three of the 4 seeds that the Sahasrabad gave us, I really disliked. But I think I hate that bot right now.
Yeah, I think you will probably find many people that will support you in your dislike for that bot.
Oh, this has been fun. It was My first Challenge Cup was last year. Was pretty good. Met some cool guys. Met even more great people here in Group AA. And I guess it's time for me to start commentating again.
Nice, Digi. Well, GG to you. It was a challenging sea, but good to see you play. Jix, do you have any final thoughts?
Not really. You know, thank you, Digi. It was fun playing against you. And I think I face Mr. DNA next, and I think we move out of the group if we win in that. Thing. I don't know exactly how the tournament's set up, to be honest.
I mean, there is still the winners final, which I do not know if the current standings are the actual, but there's right now on Challenge, Nobly has a 1-0 lead above Mr. DNA, so yeah, if there was a second game that Nobly won, you would actually face Mr. DNA in the tiebreaker match.
Yeah, it does look like Amarath is reporting that Jix will be facing Mr. DNA, and whoever wins between them will move on to brackets. Yes, indeed.
Yep. Okay.
All right. And with that, we will say GG to both Jix and Digi one more time. Thank you both for racing. It was great watching you, and appreciate you racing. Folks watching, if you have not yet followed them, please do check them out. So please do give them a follow. Please also want to shout out our tracker Lumaga. Also want to shout out Amareth, who was our restreamer tonight. And also want to say one final time, please, you might see in the chat, you can check out the Go Mode podcast, which was supporting the restream of this. You can join the Discord and get more info there, as you can see in the chat. I've been Verts, and my co-commentator was Raylan Tankier. Thank you, Raylan, for chatting with me tonight.
It was a pleasure. Thanks also to you for doing this.
Yeah. And thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much for doing the restream. We greatly appreciate it. And commentary and tracking, because it, very greatly appreciated, and nice to see as many being picked up as possible.
Yes, yeah, it is definitely a goal that we want to see as many folks restreamed as possible. So we were happy to host you. And unless anyone else has any final thoughts, I think we can say one last GG to the racers, and we will catch you all next time.